How to deal with worry and stress. Worry has become one of the silent epidemics of our generation. It creeps into our homes, it sits on our pillows at night, it walks with us into our workplaces, and it whispers fear into our future. T.D. Jakes begins by acknowledging something we often refuse to admit. Worry has become the language many people speak fluently. We worry about money. We worry about our health. We worry about people's opinions. We worry about tomorrow, even when today is not finished. But Bishop Jakes points out a powerful truth. Worry is not just a feeling we experience. It is often a choice we repeat, a habit we reinforce, a pattern we rehearse, a mindset we feed daily with our thoughts. And the danger of this? When worry becomes your default response, it will drain your peace, weaken your faith, confuse your judgment, and paralyze your progress. Worry versus concern, the critical difference. Jakes teaches that concern and worry are not the same. Concern is productive. It motivates you to plan, to take action, to move wisely. Worry is unproductive. It plays negative scenarios in your mind and traps you in fear. Concern moves you forward. Worry holds you hostage. Concern says, let me think, let me plan. Worry says, let me panic, let me freeze. Bishop puts it clearly. Worry borrows trouble from the future and makes you pay interest in the present. The spiritual perspective. Shift from fear to faith. Jakes takes the message deeper. He reminds us that worry is often a sign that we're focusing more on the problem than the God who solves the problem. He reminds us of scriptures that anchor the soul. Matthew 6:27, who by worrying can add a single hour to his life? Psalm 55:22, cast your cares on the Lord, and he will sustain you. Philippians 4:6, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything present your requests to God. These verses don't deny reality. They redirect your focus. They don't pretend life is easy. They remind you who holds life in his hands. Jakes emphasizes this. Trust is not a spiritual theory. It is a discipline, a practice, a choice, a decision to say, God, I don't see the whole picture, but I trust the one who does. Worry is a sign your mind needs realignment. If you want peace, you cannot continue feeding your mind with things that produce anxiety. Jakes challenges the audience to take responsibility for what they allow into their mental space, because your mind is a garden, and worry grows fastest in unattended soil. He says, you cannot pray for peace and keep consuming chaos. You cannot ask God for rest while entertaining voices that drain you. You cannot seek clarity and keep exposing yourself to confusion. Your mental environment matters. Your inputs matter. Your spiritual diet matters. Practical steps to break the cycle of worry. Jakes gives practical, not just spiritual counsel. 1. Replace anxious thoughts with declarations of God's promises. Your mind cannot hold worry and the Word at the same time. One will push the other out. 2. Limit exposure to stress-amplifying influences. Turn off the overload of news. Step away from toxic people. Distance yourself from unnecessary drama. Some storms are not spiritual, they are social. 3. Establish habits of peace. Daily prayer, meditation on scripture, journaling, quiet reflection, intentional gratitude, purposeful action. Because peace is not something you find. Peace is something you build. 4. Take action, even a small one. Action interrupts anxiety. Movement breaks mental paralysis. Faith is forward motion. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is take one small step. Final encouragement. You can't control everything in your life, but you can control your response to those circumstances. You can choose faith over fear, hope over despair, prayer over panic, action over paralysis, trust over turmoil. And the more you choose peace, the more your spirit becomes trained to return to it. Remember what Scripture promises. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are stayed on you. Isaiah 26:3. Perfect peace does not come from a perfect life. It comes from a steady trust in a perfect God. Key takeaways. 1. Worry is a choice, repeated until it becomes a habit. Replace the cycle with intentional, faith-filled thoughts. 2. Faith under pressure is your true test. Anyone can believe when life is smooth, but faith becomes real in the fire. 3. Action breaks anxiety. Movement is medicine for the soul. 4. Curate your mental environment. Not everything deserves access to your spirit. 5. Use spiritual anchors. Scripture, prayer, worship, reflection. These are tools, not decorations.